Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Meet the Agent. Today, joining me is Daryl Teblum, an expert real estate agent out in Florida. Now, Daryl is a little bit unorthodox in that the area that he covers is a lot larger than most agents. Instead of myself trying to give justice, Daryl, could you give us a little bit more insight into what areas specifically you cover?
Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
I
Thank you for
cover at the
joining us.
moment from Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda on the West Coast down to Marco Island.
Mhm.
And I resume on the East Coast from Homestead up to West Palm Beach, although I have dabbed in Jupiter for a few friends of the family. I cover the entire southern tip of Florida other than the Keys, unless absolutely necessary.
Mhm. Fantastic. Now, Daryl, I mean, could you explain a little bit for us? Because it's very uncommon that we'll run into or talk to agents that are comfortable driving 3-4 hours in one day, one way, to be able to service a client. Where does uh, your ability to travel come from?
Fortunately, my wife is now a licensed realtor, so she can cover me on either coast if necessary. But from my standpoint, it was really about the customer service. This all started, I received the lead from Set Schedule, and I was showing this nice young lady a property, and her brother was along with her. When we walked into the place, he felt very uncomfortable, and I could see that, as did she, and I never left their side. When we walked out of there, he was not my client, but he looked at my wife and I and said, "Do you sell property over in Miami?" And I said, "Not at the moment." He said, "You're the realtor that I want to sell my property over in Miami." And I said, "Will there not be a language barrier?" He said, "Absolutely." He says, "And you're the perfect person to handle it." Not only did I drive over to Miami, I had him 3 offers the first day, 2 offers the second day. He had 7 to choose from. By the time my 3rd day over there was done, the home was sold for close to 100,000 more than he was hoping to get.
Amazing. I mean, I feel like with that being said, I mean, obviously that's exemplary the way that you're able to forge those connections and from the spur of a moment, almost, it seems like, right, to be able to come across in such a way, an expert, someone that can advise and really assist. I do want to take a step back though really quickly because obviously I can tell, especially with the way that your business is going, that real estate is the right industry for you. What made you choose to pursue real estate in the first place?
I used to run casinos. My last profession was a casino game supervisor. I ran Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. After sustaining serious spinal injuries, which resulted in other injuries trying to recover from the surgeries, I loved seeing people smile. I loved my ability, that I believed was my ability, to make people smile and to be able to help them find happiness. In the casino industry, not everybody wins. But if I made sure that they had a good time at that game, whether I was even entertaining them by telling them jokes as the boss behind the game, I liked watching people smile and giving them a wonderful experience. While I was recovering, I decided, okay, it's time to make a change. I decided I would go into the field that my family had done for over 100 years back in South Jersey. And I decided I would try my hand at real estate because now I can make dreams come true. It was just another way to be able to help people and provide for my family at the same time.
Great. And so, I mean, again, in the way that you explained it, right? You have that legacy of knowledge. Real estate is kind of in your blood. It sounds like, right? Um, when you first made the jump into real estate, how long did it take you to acclimate? I mean, were you slamming deals left and right from the moment that you got started, or was there a ramp up period?
I started in my office the last Monday in 2020, in this particular office that I'm in now. When I went into that office, they said, don't be upset. It takes time for people to acclimate and to learn what you need to know. It took me 4 weeks to have my first contract for a purchase. I also had a few rentals that done very quickly. I had some space in between, which is normal for a new realtor, nevertheless a seasoned realtor. There's, it's not a 9 to 5 job. We don't get paid. We get paid by when there's a closing. So for me, it happened very quick for me. Yes, I had space in between because I was on a learning curve, but my ability to talk to people and enjoy making those connections made it much easier than probably for the normal person just starting out.
Great. And out of curiosity, when you started, were you starting in Florida? Had you already been in the area at that point? Or how did you select what market specifically you wanted to start servicing in?
That part's funny. My wife and I were discussing moving to Central Florida when I got my license. I thought I would dab a little bit in the Southwest Florida market for a little while, and then we would make our way up there towards Disney World and Universal. And I figured between the nonstop people flying in and out of the country, looking for vacation homes, and the employees of the resorts and all those restaurants and shopping, I would have unlimited clientele that would keep me going for the rest of my life. Probably could pass it down generations. I met the most amazing man who happens to be my broker and my friend, and everything changed. As a new realtor, you have to learn the curves on your own. This gentleman took me under his wing and personally mentored me, the owner of the company, as well as another 40-year-old vet, said they saw something in me. I can talk to people. They asked me what I wanted to make. They laughed. They told me what I needed to do to achieve that goal. And I exceeded it, which was actually pretty shocking. I do what I'm told to do when I'm told to do it, so then I become successful. I don't want to wait. I don't want to rely on somebody else. If someone's going to make me successful, I'm going to do it. And the way for me to be successful is for me to be helping people find their dream homes.
Great. And so on that topic, something that I think we can kind of infer, but I'd like to, ask you outright. I mean, do you have a life mantra, something that kind of drives you and really shapes your perception of what your responsibility is in the world? Because, I mean, it sounds like you are a very convicted person.
I was somebody that was paralyzed and couldn't walk. My life mantra is to be a warrior and not a worrier. What that means is, rather than waiting for other people to help me achieve my goals, I find a way. I don't let people tell me I can or I can't. I find a way to make things happen. I don't worry when people say I cannot do it. I look for the ability within myself and what I need to do, the hard work I need to put in, no matter what it is, to achieve those goals. Therefore, being a warrior means standing up in the face of when it's very difficult and not worrying about the obstacles in my way, no matter how insurmountable they may be, such as being able to walk.
Great. I mean, it's incredibly inspiring to hear that, because in the way that I've seen it, sometimes people, I guess it is maybe a personality thing, and by all means you can weigh in, but it very much feels like, because everybody obviously encounters challenges, right? And it really is the way that we respond to those challenges, the lessons and the kind of the standards that we hold ourselves to based on those circumstances that really contribute to the person that we ultimately end up being. Now, I mean, switching gears a little bit here, you mentioned that you did have the background in the casino industry. Would you say that you have any other kind of past experiences or abilities that you've picked up that ended up being transferable and are helping you in your real estate business now?
Yes. When you're doing customer service in any form of life, and most people, one way or another, are in customer service, whether they realize it or not.
Mhm.
For me, I learned the real estate market starting out as a toddler into my mid-teens. I then entered the casino industry, which my career was interrupted by multiple injuries. But I learned customer service. I learned how to talk to people. If you just talk to people and bring up real estate, it works for itself. Many people, I can hand someone 50 leads and they'll tell me that every lead was bad and make an excuse for it. I'll call those leads multiple times. I'll make those leads work. Maybe not all of them, maybe a low percentage, but those leads will work. The way that everything that I learned from my past of just how to talk to people and communication, that helped. I received 2 degrees while I was recovering from a spinal injury. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in public administration and policy, which also includes budgeting, multiple factors on how to run a government or a high corporate entity. I use what I learned, the critical thinking skills. That's what helps when I'm dealing with the customer, dealing with their problems. A realtor is a highly paid problem solver. A good realtor can do that while looking out for their customer's best interest. That's most important.
And actually, on that same topic, I'd love to be able to hear in your words, what would you say that a realtor's responsibility is to their clients and to their prospects?
Realtors, many realtors are in it just to make money. In my opinion, it's not just about the money. It's about making dreams come true and helping people find a place to lay their head that they can be safe. From my standpoint, that's where our responsibility lies. Our responsibility is we're handling arguably the largest purchase that those people, many of those individuals will ever make. We need to protect their escrow money. We need to make sure that all of their fears and concerns going into this enormous transaction are addressed. Don't ignore those. By ignoring your customers' fears and concerns, you're only allowing them to fester for larger problems down the line. I stated that we're a problem solver. No matter how easy the deal is, if you had a cash buyer that wants to close in 2 weeks, there will be challenges. Our job is to represent our customer first. Now, we also represent whatever brokerage we're in. So while we represent our customer, we have the obligation to our brokerage to act in an ethical manner and to be the best representative that we can possibly be. So from my standpoint, it's multifaceted.
Yeah. And I think part of something that's ingrained, I think, in your perception of, I mean, even as you mentioned in your life, right? To continue to expand your knowledge base to really, I mean, understand complex problems and then be able to explain them to other people. It sounds like it's kind of the vein that you like to work in. Now, I mean, on that topic though, how does it that right now currently you continue to expand your client base? You did mention a little bit about mentorship. Could you expand on that a little bit more? How did you select the right mentors?
Surprisingly, those mentors selected me. When you go into a company that has, when I first came in, I believe they had 136 realtors. Like I had said to you before, we're number 2 in sales in the state of Florida. The owner of the company, the general manager of the company, and the trainer of the company told me that they saw something special in me. That really made me feel good, but they put their time where their mouth was and offered to mentor me. They take my calls from 6:30 in the morning. The one gentleman took my call at 1:45 in the morning when I was panicking on one of my first listings. I couldn't believe he did that, got up, opened his computer, and helped me get it to go live. They put their time where their mouth is. I receive live training. Often on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I go to live training with the owner of the company on Friday at 1:30 every Friday, whether I'm on the road or I'm in this area. I jump on a Zoom call or in person with the owner of the company who mentors me and make sure that I'm taking care of my clients and I'm constantly learning and growing. Not only does he mentor me on business, he mentors me on life because most of it's all about attitude. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. This is what I will achieve today, not I am going to try. I have some amazing people that I am surrounded with that I am thankful every day for.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like, I mean, especially in just about any endeavor, right? Having the right team that you can count on, that you can grow with and alongside, it's an invaluable tool. Um, Now, I mean, again, on that topic of being able to grow your network, being able to find the right people that you can count on, you did mention this a little bit, right? But before your wife had gotten her license, because in my understanding that happened relatively recently, how were you able to maintain your in my opinion, overpacked schedule, right? Driving from coast to coast, working new prospects, checking back in with your old clients. How is it that you were able to keep all of your ducks in a row, make sure that things don't end up falling off your plate or that you don't get too busy?
Thank God for Dr. Google. My calendar with Google tells me when I need to do what I need to do, when I need to do it, even if I'm busy. Please excuse me for one moment, and I take care of what I have to do when I'm with a customer if I have to. Um, from my standpoint, it's about time management, which I'm learning. I am also a parent. I am also a grandparent. Um, it is difficult to juggle, but I also like to cook with my kids. I like to have dinners at home with my family 5 to 7 nights a week if possible. I do everything I can to make sure that I am addressing everyone's needs, from my clients to my children, my grandchild, my wife, my parents, everybody that needs me. They have my time. I go from 6:30 in the morning. Often you will find me up at 11, 12 o'clock at night with the laptop in front of me, whether I'm watching a ball game in the background and doing it or just listening to music while I'm trying to make sure that I'm making sure I meet everyone's needs. It's very important to me. But the only way I can really do it is time management and putting my information on my schedule. The schedule is the most important thing.
And I think something that you had mentioned also to me was the fact that you do enjoy every minute of it, right? At no point in time do you bemoan or, wish that you were doing something else. Is that right?
The only time that I ever wish that is when someone's indecisive, going back and forth. Other than that, I love my job. It's not a job, it's a way of life for me. And now becoming a way of life for my wife. We make people smile. It's amazing. You're helping a husband and a wife find a home. You go to the closing, they bring their little son or daughter there, and you're taking a picture with them out front of their house. And how excited is it when you open the door the first time and the kids go running in and go, well, that's my room. And you have two kids arguing over who's getting what room, or, oh my goodness, look at our pool. We have a big backyard. We can play soccer. It's making dreams come true. And at the same time, I'm helping my own family. What better way to make a living?
Amazing. I mean, the perspective that you bring to the business is just it's awe-inspiring and it really is beautiful. And I love the fact that it feels very much like you want to pay it forward. You want to do good, right? To be able to see good in the world, which actually is my life philosophy as well. But now we're getting towards the end of our time here, Daryl. Did just want to let you know about that. I do have a couple last questions here for you. Are there any pieces of advice, anything that you wish you had known when you had first gotten into the real estate industry?
that if you do what you need to do when you need to do it and not make excuses, you'll be successful. Most people avoid in real estate, from beginners to experienced people, income producing activities. They avoid it like the plague. If you need to wake up and you need to call FSBOs, the for sale by owners or expireds from 8 to 10, if that's what you do, from 8 to 10, you need to make those calls. If you're sitting outside drinking your coffee and not making a phone call or doing anything, and that's on your schedule, you're not going to be successful. Day one, I was asked how much I wanted to make. When I told him the amount, he smiled, the gentleman, the head trainer, and he said to me, okay, in order to reach your goal, you're going to need to actively talk to 7 people a day, and you're going to have to mention that you can buy, sell, and do any real estate transaction for them. I try to talk to 40 to 100 people a day if I can, every day. Even if I'm not in the area or near my house, if I take my family away, I'll talk to someone in line at, Busch Gardens or Disney and bring up, I'm a realtor and I can help you buy or sell your house. And if you want to sell your house in Orlando, I will find a way to help you sell your house in Orlando. If you want to sell your house in Texas, we will sell your house in Texas. I recently got a listing in Cartagena, Colombia. I just so happened to be with one of my customers, and the brother said, can you sell our property on the beach in Cartagena? My response was, where's Cartagena? But I reached out to some colleagues and we found a professional. I interviewed several and I made the good contact, and the house is now listed, and I hear there's 2 contracts on it. I don't know which one they're going to accept. I'll be checking on that later tonight.
Great. Um, this brings to mind, especially with what you just mentioned, kind of a little bit of a tidbit of wisdom that I think you shared with me previously. I think it's very important to be realistic with probabilities, with large numbers, with just the facts of the circumstance in the places that you are. Can you elaborate a little bit more on why you don't think, or at least for yourself in the way that you conduct your business, that it's valuable to reach out to FSBOs and expireds?
From my standpoint, I'm not successful with reaching out to FSBOs and expireds. My first day on the job, I was told by the owner of the company to go speak to a specific gentleman who was a used car salesman. And he was an exceptional realtor because he could talk very well, and he understood the customer and how to sell. I don't consider myself a salesperson. So I went upstairs and I spoke to this gentleman, and he talked me under the table. I've never made another call to a FSBO for sale by owner ever again. I told him that when I left there that, I learned what I can and can't do. I can walk into a place, Home Depot or Lowe's. You can point to any person in the place and I'll go talk to them. You can tell me someone's interested in buying a house, put their number and email address down on paper and just give me a little bit, anything. I'll call them. I don't have a problem. I'll meet them to show them a home. Calling somebody and going up against 20,000 other people, it seems like the definition of insanity to me. And it's funny because I've saved every single email that has the list of the FSBOs and the expireds since the day I started in this business. They're all in my email, every single one, for over 2 years with this particular company that I get the list every morning. Would I pick up the phone? No, I like to do it my way on this one, and I'm finding success. I want to call 50 to 100 people a day.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it's knowing what your probability of success is, right? Like you mentioned, if you know what the rough number of real estate agents in your area is, which you said is about 28,000, is that correct?
The area that my home is in, when we moved here, was around 114,000. It surpassed 200,000. They're saying 250 over this next year because we have several thousand people a day moving to Florida. And I happen to live in Cape Coral on the West Coast, right near Sanibel and Fort Myers, in Captiva Island. And it's one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. What's there not to love? You're living on the Gulf of Mexico. Our taxes are cheaper than up north. Everything seems to be cheaper than up north. So it was a good move.
Yeah. At the same time, though, right? With those numbers, with the level of other agents that are in the area, right, and with the amount of times that a tidbit or a piece of advice gets passed, right? Like you mentioned on your first day, you were told, well, yeah, maybe you should reach out to the FISBOs and the expireds, right? But it sounds like maybe, or arguably, definitely, that is an uphill battle, right? That you're trying to present your worth one out of 28,000 or 250,000, right? People that may or may not decide to reach out to them. And at that point, right, you might just be beating a dead horse and get somebody that's frustrated to talk to you if they even answer, right? So it's about knowing what that probability of success is and deciding to modify it or, interpret it in a different way. And like you mentioned, tackle it with your strengths. Now, thank you so much for having joined us today, Daryl. We are going to be jumping off here relatively soon. Do you have any last pieces of advice, anything that you would want to share with new agents, anybody that might not be experiencing the level of success that they're after here in the industry?
Yes. If you do what you're supposed to do by making your phone calls and talking to people, you don't have people in your sphere of influence to call, go to Publix, go to ShopRite, go to Winn-Dixie, go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot, go to places where people congregate, go to a roller skating rink, go to an event, walk around, talk to people. Hi, my name is Daryl. Introduce yourself, talk about what you do, or just find out about them. Are you from the area? Do you live here? Have you ever considered moving here? Do you know anyone else that lives here? If you make connections at a high rate every single day, you have to be successful. Even the worst realtor ever would find success if you have enough connections. This job is about connections and relationships. I love to build relationships beyond that of just a sale. I like lifelong relationships. You have the ability to do so much more than just sell a house or a condo or a business. You have so much more ahead of you. All you have to do is do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, and that is talking to people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you hit it right on the nose. It's something that I've heard a lot of times, really, when it comes to business, right, entrepreneurship and success. It's everybody knows. You ask most people, they know what needs to be done to be successful, but how many people actually can commit to that success? Can say, I know that I need to make these calls today, so I will do that, and maybe even overperform, make more calls than just what my regular goal is, which again is fantastic. It's that idea that you need to challenge yourself, you need to be better to succeed and be able to further your business. Now, last question for you here, Daryl. Do you have any advice, notes, any message that you would want to share with anybody that may be considering moving to Florida or finding a realtor out in the area, if you want to be able to address the audience that way directly?
Don't just talk to one person. If you're looking to move to this area, look at the area, learn everything about it, from where you're going to pay in taxes for one city over the one that's next door. With FEMA 2.0 now hitting on flood insurance, look at that. And that way you know whether you're moving to a flood zone or not. For some people, paying what some people would say is higher homeowners insurance and flood insurance is worth it compared to lower taxes than up north. Learn about your area and then challenge the real estate professional that you speak with to test their knowledge to make sure that there's someone that can represent you with the same values and understanding that you desire. Make sure they understand and are actually listening to what you want, not what they want to do or to hear themselves speak. A lot of realtors I hear when I'm around the office or around other offices, I'll hear them saying what they want to hear from the customer. when I heard the customer speak. Listen. So for someone moving here, just do your homework before you move here. Make sure that you have a real estate professional that understands you and that understands what you and your family want. Don't just take the first person, and definitely just don't take recommendations from a friend or family member. That doesn't always lead to success.
Great. And I mean, I would definitely say if you are thinking about, as a home shopper, a home owner, if you are thinking about transacting at all in the Florida area, I would definitely recommend reaching out to Daryl, because if for some reason he's not able to service you, I'm sure that you'd be able to connect them with somebody that will make sure that their needs are met, that the importance of their transaction and this life move, right, isn't diluted by just a focus, from the real estate agent on transactions, just making it a cut and dry business operation. But of course, thanks again for joining us today, Daryl. For our viewers and listeners at home, thank you for joining us for today's episode of Meet the Agent. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our content. You can visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/set schedule to view more episodes just like this one. Thanks again, Daryl. Hope that you have a beautiful rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next one.